The envelope sat on the kitchen counter like a gravestone. White, crisp, embossed law firm letterhead. Richard stared at it. His fingers hovered, not quite touching the paper. Behind him, Vanessa, his precious daughter, stood frozen in the doorway, her face drained of color. "What is this?" he asked. I didn't answer immediately. I let the silence stretch, let it coil around his throat like wire. "Divorce papers," I said finally. My voice was flat, empty. "Sign them." 3 weeks ago, he'd thrown me out of our home. His home, he'd corrected, because Vanessa told him I was cruel, that I'd stolen from her, that I'd called her vile names when he wasn't around. She'd cried beautifully, real tears, shaking shoulders, the whole performance, and he believed every word. It started with a text I wasn't supposed to see. Richard left his phone on the bathroom counter. The screen lit up while he was in the shower. "Dad, she's getting worse. I don't feel safe here." I stood there, water drumming against tile, steam curling around the mirror. Vanessa had been living with us for 6 months, 24 years old, between jobs. That's what Richard called it. I called it freeloading. But I'd been patient, kind even. I'd cooked her meals, done her laundry, listened to her complain about every boss, every roommate, every man who didn't appreciate her brilliance. And now this. I didn't confront him, not then. I simply began to watch. Vanessa was careful, I'll give her that. She never spoke against me when I was in the room, never glared, never made a scene. But I started noticing how she'd wait until Richard came home, then mention casually that I'd snapped at her earlier, how I'd forgotten to include her in dinner plans, how I'd made her feel unwelcome. None of it was true. But Richard, he ate it up. "You need to try harder," he told me one night. "She's fragile right now." Fragile. The girl who borrowed my car without asking, who maxed out the credit card Richard gave her twice, who left her mess everywhere and acted like I was the maid. But sure, fragile. I started recording. My phone, voice memos, conversations, timestamps. Every time she made an accusation, I had proof of the opposite. I didn't tell Richard. Not yet. The final lie was masterful. She claimed I'd taken jewelry from her room, a necklace her mother gave her before she died. I'd never seen it. But Vanessa sobbed in Richard's arms, begged him to make her stop. And he did. "I want you out." His voice was cold, controlled, like he'd been rehearsing. "You're lying," I said quietly. "Get out of my house." I didn't beg, didn't cry. I packed a bag, took my documents, left. And from the doorway, Vanessa watched me go. She didn't smile, that would have been too obvious. But her eyes shone. 3 weeks passed. Radio silence. Then one evening, Richard called. "Have you thought about things?" His tone was cautious, testing. "What things?" "Your behavior, what you did to Vanessa." I almost laughed. "I've done a lot of thinking," I said instead. "Meet me tomorrow, 2 o'clock, the house." He agreed. When I walked through the door, Vanessa was there. Of course she was. Hovering near her father like a shadow, protective, possessive. Richard tried to smile. It didn't reach his eyes. "I'm glad you came," he said. "I think if we talk this through—" "I'm not here to talk," I interrupted. I pulled the envelope from my bag, set it on the counter. His face changed, confusion, then understanding, then panic. "What?" "Divorce papers," I said again. "I already signed. You just need to finish it." Vanessa stepped forward. "Dad, don't!" "Shut up." She froze. I'd never raised my voice to her once. But now I was done pretending. I reached into my bag again, pulled out my phone. "Before you make a decision," I said, "you should listen to something." I pressed play. Vanessa's voice filled the room. God, she's so pathetic. I can make her look however I want. A pause, then laughter. "He believes everything I say. She'll be gone soon." Richard's face went white. I played another. "I just need to wait her out. Once she's gone, it's just us again, like it should be." The phone trembled in his hand. I didn't look at Vanessa. I didn't need to. I could hear her breathing, fast, shallow. "Where did you—" she started. "You got sloppy. Left your phone unlocked. Voice memos auto-sync to the cloud, by the way. Maybe you should have known that." She opened her mouth, closed it. Richard sank into a chair. "I trusted you," he whispered. She lunged toward me, tears, rage. "You bitch! You had no right!" "I had every right." My voice was ice. "You tried to destroy me. For what? Attention? Daddy's money?" She was crying now, real tears, not the kind that manipulate, the kind that come from being caught. Richard didn't move, didn't speak. He just stared at the floor. I picked up the envelope, placed it in his hand. "Sign them," I said. "Or don't. I don't care anymore." I walked to the door. Vanessa screamed behind me, something about how I ruined everything, how I never loved him. Richard said nothing. And I felt nothing. No anger, no sadness, just the cold, clean clarity of knowing I'd won. Not because I destroyed her, but because I let her destroy herself. I stepped outside. The air was sharp, clear, and I smiled. Just once.